Population and Ecosystem Investigation Number 3, Mini Ecosystems. Students construct aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems in the classroom and observe them over time to understand ecosystem interactions. They use a group scientific log to observe, describe, and monitor changes in biotic and abiotic factors. The student learning outcomes research or read informational text about organisms to construct a classroom ecosystem, observe, describe, and record changes to an ecosystem using a scientific log, describe the relationships among biotic and abiotic factors, provide examples of how they interact in an ecosystem. Remember to place your order for your organisms 1 week prior to beginning this unit. I will always add the Getting Started page, as it is very important for you to understand where to find your goals, objectives, information about the unit. Investigation 3, Parts 1 and 2, Screencast link. This link will discuss what to do when your organisms arrive, the physical environment, introducing the investigation and the organisms, and setting up the physical environment. Please click on the link to view. Investigation 3, Part 1, the physical environment. Introduces the investigation, but prior to that, remind students of the 3 types of population studies discussed in Investigation 1. Investigation 2, the ongoing laboratory population study with the milkweed bugs, the natural environment population study from the Jane Goodall video. Explain that now you're going to begin the 3rd type of population study, creating miniature versions of an ecosystem. Introduce the organism pictures, which you will find on page 66 through 68, I believe. Prior to beginning the study, students need to become familiar with the organisms they will be observing. Have students work from the resource book to sort the organisms into 2 sets based on the ecosystem they might live in. Students then created a table and head one section terrestrial and the other aquatic. They should record the organism's name according to which environment they will live in. Have students share the criteria they use to separate the organisms and introduce the aquatic and terrestrial vocabulary. Students should list the organisms that live in an aquatic and terrestrial environment on the student sheet based on their sorting. You would divide students into groups of 4 and tell them that they will be constructing mini ecosystems and studying them for several weeks. Have them think about the organism and decide what abiotic factors will be needed for each mini ecosystem and what physical environment will need to be assembled in each mini ecosystem. Have students share their ideas, record them on the board. Make sure that you enforce the idea that water, light, air, and temperature are important abiotic elements of an ecosystem, as well as structures and substrates such as rocks, sticks, gravel, and soil. Investigation 3, Part 2, Introducing Life. Students will use these sheets to record their observation of the organisms as they are introduced to them. Once students have completed this part of the investigation, have them focus on the question: is there enough food in the ecosystem for all the animals in their mini ecosystems to survive? Quick note: Investigation 3, Mini Ecosystems at a Glance, has a reading called Biosphere 2, An Experiment in Isolation, which is assigned to be completed at the end of Part 2. If you look closely at the Student Learning Outcomes section, you will find that this reading has been moved to Investigation 7 as a close reading. Investigation 3, Part 3, Observing Mini Ecosystems. Remember that students still have the milkweed bug habitats that they must observe and record changes. Now you need to factor time in so that students can make observation of these 2 ecosystems. Make sure to give students 1 mini ecosystem log sheet for each ecosystem. Now that you have constructed your own ecosystems, you are ready to move on to studying natural ecosystem. So in the next investigation, students will look at real ecosystems and the organisms that live in it in their view of the Mono Lake video.